semen retention. Yeah. So I stopped ejaculating for 10 days. Sorry, for 30 days. Ah, bro. I stopped ejaculating for 30 days. This was what nobody told me. Let me just be honest. This was what nobody told me about doing it. Normally I come online and I see people saying semen retention. And to me, I was like, okay, let's do it. So this is what happened in the 30 days of my semen retention. Based on what I went through, what I passed through, I'm not saying it basically on what people went through. This is what I personally went through and the stages within a month of how I went through. You get me? So the first week of the whole process, I will not lie. I would not lie. I started I did it twice. Yeah. What I mean by I did it twice is that I started it and I think on the fourth day or the fifth day I relapsed. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I practically relapsed. So I had to like start all over again. Yeah. So I had to start over again. This particular content that I'm trying to bring is just to give other people perspective on how it is. Stop hearing all these gurus talk. This is on my own personal perception. So on the first week of doing it, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. It was the hardest thing I've ever done because imagine you going out to go get something, or you going to work, or you going to your friend's place, or you trying to like go through Instagram or TikTok on YouTube, or you going to normal place you normally hang out with your boys, and every single thing was just actually pushing me towards that particular direction. Every single thing I saw was an advertisement for me to go, you understand, go do what I normally do the most. You get me? And again, me saying all these things is not because of anything. I know a lot of people suffer from this shit. I'm telling you, when I checked the stats, I was seeing 85 to 90% of young people. There was no differentiation of male or female. 90% of the whole population in the world are actually going through this particular situation. I'm trying to look for a good name for it, but everybody's going through it. 30 days was one of the sorry, the first 10 days was one of the hardest because I work, I have friends, I have like I'm in a community of people and all those kind of things were involved inside of it. So that was the first day. I relapsed the first time, but the second time I went through the first 10 days. The first 10 days, like I said, was the hardest. So the second 10 days, because I did it in 10 days, I knew if I could pass the first 10 days, the second 10 days would be easy. So the second 10 days was, I'm not going to lie, for the first time in a long time, I started to see things differently. My mind was clear. Like I started to see things very clearly. On though before I actually went on this journey, yeah, I normally see I'm just trying to give my own. I normally see women as like tools or something you can just use and go away. I don't know if you understand. You don't see women like you're supposed to see them. You don't see them like friends. You don't see them as partners. You don't see them as someone you can go with or get a business with. You see women as just sex objects. Yes, this was one of the issues I had at the beginning. So basically, yeah, I just see women as sex objects and things you can just use. You get what I'm saying? We all go through that stuff. And my mind was clear for the first time in a long time about what I'm there to do. And this was one of the biggest advantage I got from doing this. I'm going to say this. This was the biggest advantage I got. I had enough time to focus on what I need to focus on. I had time. I was disciplined. I could have hold a conversation with the other gender without really thinking much about what to do. I could hold a very good conversation when it comes to that. And everything made sense. It was very clear. And I finally understood how many hours I take or how many hours it took me to just go through that routine of going through that particular, you understand, that process of should I give you a word called masturbate? I don't want to give you that kind of name. I'm trying to look for a very good name. Or I'm trying to look for a word that could be a little bit calm to the ears because when you hear that word, it's kind of provokes your inner self if you understand what I mean. So it happens like that because I started having conversations with girls. It was easy to hold conversation. Everything made sense. That was the second 10 days of the whole 30 days of that particular situation. Then the last particular 10 days, I would I should have said it was easy, but I ain't gonna lie, it was not easy. It was not easy because the truth is that the thing with habit is that if you're around that particular situation more often, there's a very high probability, a very, very high probability that you can go that you can go back or you can relapse. There's a very high probability that it can happen. So the thing is you need to try to find a way to actually avoid those kind of environments, avoid those particular situations, avoid partying, avoid social gatherings for now, avoid things that teenagers are mostly doing. Go for things that adults are doing for now. You just need to find a way for you to avoid things, avoid places of things that are happening. I hear people saying they're trying to go on this particular journey and most of them are still going to parties. Most of them are still going to clubs. Most of them, bro, there's a saying in the Bible that flee away from temptation. You understand? You need to flee away from temptation. You cannot always withstand temptation, but it's easy for you to flee away from it. So the third thing that I actually did that helped me a lot was I started distancing myself from anything that happened like that. I remember that I normally go partying and clubs and stuff like that. And I noticed that every single time I'm on around that place, my mind is just always active, looking for things like that. My mind is just always active. You get me? But the time I started like giving myself distance from all this particular situation, it started to make sense. I started going to different environments. I started going to football matches. Then I started to go play football. 'Cause I love football. So I started to play football. I started to like go to church environments. Like you get me. Even at churches, I started saying things that was really negative. Like you have already trained your brain. My brain was so sharp to catch negative stuff. My brain was so sharp to catch stuff relating to that particular issue. My brain was that sharp. Because imagine you have been feeding your mind that particular thing for a very long time. You get me? Now, the point is that nobody actually tells you the real meaning of semen retention. The meaning of semen retention simply means holding off of doing that particular routine for a while. You need to give yourself time to stop. So this was my own 30 days of it. I'm not going to say it will be easy for you. I'm going to say you just need to try. I got more clarity. I didn't get any spiritual power. I know some certain gurus will be like, you take it, but I didn't get that shit. But for some facts, I had enough time to think more. My mind was more clear. My mind was very foggy, but now I could see things well. I could see girls I'm supposed to use for businesses. Like I started seeing girls more as partners instead of like sexual objects. You get me? I could not hold a conversation with a girl for long because I was just thinking about you. Like what's the next step? You get me? It's like we're supposed to chat and go out on dates, but me, I'm just like, what's the last step? That was the main problem of this particular thing. So going on this particular journey helped me a lot in seeing that it gives me more discipline. It gave me more focus. I was very focused. I could do shit very well. So my advice for you is that you all should try it. It won't be easy. You can relapse, but why I told you I relapse was to give you confidence that you can still go back to it, you can still try it out. So I hope this video helps anybody going through this particular journey in any single way.